Hey, I'm Ben, and what the heck is this? Well, I've been watching a lot of BreadTube recently. I really like engaging with leftist ideas because I tend to find myself agreeing with a lot and disagreeing with a lot. It means I get to challenge my own beliefs, and that's fun. And it's what this series is all about. When watching BreadTube, one name and one book comes up a lot. Pyotr Kropotkin's The Conquest of Bread. So I'm going to be reading it in full and reflecting on his ideas. This first video is to lay the groundwork for where I am now. I'll talk about my current feelings on leftist ideas, and then later, hopefully, refute at least a few of those ideas and destroy my current, future, past self. So where am I at? I'm left of liberals and right of leftists. Here's where the political compass put me anyway. I want to break down this into two parts, economy and state. I have a lot more common ground with the leftists on the economic side, so let's start with what do I agree with regarding economics? Well, first I'm gonna hedge. I'm not an economist or a political scientist, I make board games, so be prepared for me to be wrong on about nearly everything. Anyway, where are my points of agreement? I think that there's way too much income inequality. I agree that there's no ethical way to become a billionaire. No one is creating so much value on their own to justify that kind of wealth. I think it's frightening that you could take 50 billion with a B dollars away from Jeff Bezos and it literally would not affect his day-to-day life even a little. And for the record, I do think we should take his money. I agree that corporations exploit people constantly to serve the profit motive. And I agree that a lot of the time, the profit motive being the primary motive leads to terrible outcomes. I'm disturbed that we have the resources to take care of everyone, and yet so many people are, at the very least, not taken care of, and often worse than that. I think that employees and not employers are taking a larger risk working a job. Yes, the capitalist is taking a larger nominal monetary risk, but not nearly the same actual risk to their well-being. I think employers have too much power over employees. Since my boss doesn't need me, he just needs someone like me, and I need a job where I starve. This is the main reason why I support a UBI, which I think leftists are opposed to, and I'd love to pick one of your brains about why that is. Okay, so where do I disagree on the economics? I don't agree that there is no ethical consumption possible under capitalism. I don't see exploitation as a necessary component of capitalism, and I don't think that capitalism should be abolished. There's a leftist meme which is essentially that all profit is directly the product of exploited workers. It's punchy, it makes sense if you don't think about it too hard, and it's very shareable, but I don't think it's a required feature of capitalism. Let's do a thought experiment. You've got two companies. Their workers all do the same thing and are paid the same amount. But the business decisions of one company lead to them losing money, and with the other company, they're earning money. The workers in the company losing money aren't exploiting the capitalist because they're being paid more than the product of their labor, and the workers at the profitable company aren't being exploited more than the other workers. They're being paid the same amount for the same work. It's definitely possible, and it happens all the time that workers are exploited. I just don't think that it's a necessary feature. I think certain things like the free hand of the market work better in some things than other things, and in some things I think it works terribly. I like to draw the line on elasticity. If you aren't familiar, the elasticity of a product is essentially that the more elastic a product is, as the price increases, fewer units will be sold. My industry, board games, deals in elastic products. If the price of board games spike, then fewer units will be sold. They are very optional for the consumer. An inelastic product sees very little change in sales as the price increases. Things like staple foods, medicine, utilities. If you need a pill to live, you buy the pill, because if you don't, you die. If you haven't already guessed, I tend to think that the less elastic a good is, the more it needs to be socialized and regulated. And the more elastic, the less that's necessary. There are other factors at play, and it's much more nuanced than just this, but I think elasticity is generally where I draw the line. So my position on economics is that I think more things should be socialized than things currently are, but not every industry needs to be. And I think that there's a lot of industry where the profit motive leads to positive outcomes, and I wouldn't want to see that lost. The state. What do I agree with? Okay, well, I don't really agree or disagree with anarchism. To be honest, I don't really understand anarchism. I watched Non-Compete series on how it would function, and the whole time I was just like, I don't think this would actually work like that, or moments of citation needed, or just confusion. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I think it boils down to this. I was raised in an environment where I had a state. States make sense to me, and the state does a lot that I don't agree with, but it's also a really useful body for certain things, and I'm just not seeing how in a world where the state is abolished, a lot of those things would get taken care of. So I don't understand anarchism. It doesn't gel with my worldview, but that's part of why I'm reading this book. It wouldn't be the first time that a book has radically changed the way I see the world. The Dictator's Handbook pretty much shaped the way I see power structures, and it's changed a lot of my views and behaviors. So the same could happen with this. I'm not currently an anarcho anything, and I'm not a communist, but maybe after I finish reading this book. Anyway, so now that the background is all established, here's the plan. I'm going to read the book, and at intervals that make sense, maybe chapter by chapter, maybe a few chapters at a time, I'll be making a video summarizing the chapter, my thoughts, and, if anything I said in this video, I now want to refute. I know the text is old, so I'm going to be generous with the knowledge that not all of the ideas presented are going to have a one-to-one port into today's world, but I'll do my best to fit them in the best possible light I can. I want to learn, so my mind is open. So let's do this thing and find out just how wrong or right I am. I'm probably wrong. I'm like always wrong.